I was very active. I was on the swim team. I was the third chair flute. I was a cheerleader when I was younger. A lot of those things came to a crashing halt.
And I remember thinking that she had to be wrong, that I didn't have a disease, because a disease was something that you could see, and it was something that meant that you were sick, and if you were sick, you got to stay home from school, and I still had to go to school. So it took me a while to accept that, this was something that affected me.
Arthritis is inflammation of the joints, and a lot of people think it's an adult disease. It's actually a lot of children. There's over 300,000 children in the United States with juvenile arthritis. There's a number of forms of arthritis. For juveniles, we have three major types. The main one is oligoarthritis, which is 4 or fewer joints. That's the most common type of arthritis in children. It also has, unfortunately, along with it, you can have a silent eye disease called uveitis. It's eye inflammation. So every child with this type of disease has to see the eye doctor. And this is controlled. The eye disease is controlled with the same medications you treat arthritis with. The second type is polyarthritis, which is 5 or more joints. And that's a little bit different. It's large weight-bearing joints. And if kids get this when they're in teens, usually they stay with that into adulthood. The third type we see in children is called systemic, which is a whole body arthritis, which is fever and rashes. Fevers usually occur at night up to 103. The rash is a salmon-colored rash. If you circle a spot in the middle of the night, in a couple hours it would be somewhere else. That's also one that can affect the heart and lungs. It's probably one of the more serious types of arthritis. For all three of these, we have medications to help control them. The key is getting them into the clinic as soon as they're diagnosed so we can get them treated.
It started right after a foot surgery. It was a benign foot surgery. It was for bunions, and I was a freshman in high school. It was right after Christmas, and I went in for the surgery, and when I came out, the doctor said that the tissue looked a little different. He went ahead with the surgery, so he took tissue samples, and I could pretty much almost immediately notice a big change. It was, they say that sometimes rheumatoid can take a triggering factor, whether it's like a car accident or a surgery or a severe illness. They say that can be a trigger to bring the disease on. And that was mine, which was the bunion surgery, because I had no symptoms prior. And when I was even using crutches and things like that, things started to really change as far as from like shoulders below, everything was becoming really, really difficult. So it was a benign surgery that turned into rheumatoid.
I was in kindergarten when my gym teacher happened to notice that I had a waddle to my run, and he thought that, oh, maybe she's just flat-footed. So we went into my regular pediatrician. He took a look at me, and he was like, I really don't think that she is. I think that there's something more here. So that was with a referral to the orthopedics, and it took one look from him at my x-rays, and he was like, she needs a pediatric rheumatologist. She has arthritis. And the diagnosis came very candidly. It was, here it is, here are the pamphlets, go figure it out. I remember walking out with my parents. I was about 7 at this point, and I asked my mom, like, well, what does that mean that I have arthritis? And she told me that, oh, it's the disease you have, like this is why your body hurts, this is why you're kind of stiff.
That was life-changing. We went through a long period of time trying to diagnose. I would say it was probably close to 2 years. I went from juvenile rheumatoid arthritis to lupus. They thought lupus for a while. They thought, then it finally turned into rheumatoid. They were pretty aggressive with the start of medications with what that was, but that is, I'm in my 34th year of having rheumatoid now, and it started when I was 13, so I'm 46 now, so I've had a long time of, the changes in the medications. So that was kind of when it started, and that was tough, being a teenager, freshman in high school. tough time to go through something like that.
By the time I was 9, I was giving myself my own methotrexate injections every week. And along with that, because it is technically a chemotherapy drug, I had the lovely side effect of nausea and vomiting. So I had it all planned out in my little 4th grade schedule of I got my shot on Sunday, by Monday morning after reading, but before math, I had to run down to the bathroom and go throw up. And I just had to go back to class because they said, you're not really sick. You know, it sucks that you don't feel good, but you still have to be here. So that was something that definitely affected me. It's hard to focus when you're feeling sick all the time. By the time I started high school, though, was really when my arthritis started to affect me. I had to quit gym. I tried it out for the first while, and you start every class running laps. Well, when you're the kid with arthritis and can't run, that makes it pretty hard. So we had to go through the school and get all the special requirements that allowed me to still graduate but not take gym. And I was 16 when I decided that I couldn't take it anymore, and I decided that I wanted to do my first hip replacement. And so I did that, and it made a world of a difference. I couldn't believe how much pain that I had just ignored, because that's all I had ever known, especially in my hips, where they would flare up so bad that I would pretty much be paralyzed because the muscles would tighten and you just couldn't move. I just had to wait there and let it die down.
There were mornings when you're playing with medications and going from one to the next. There were days that I got out of bed, got down to breakfast, and I'd be crying into my bowl of cereal, and my mom would be like, okay, back you go. And I'd miss days of school just because I just couldn't handle the pain, and it was everywhere. It wasn't just in certain spots. I had to give up playing flute. The swelling in my hands prohibited me to be able to even cover the holes anymore on my flute and to be able to move as quickly, and so those things ended too. So it was a tough time.
When I decided that I wanted to go on to college, I knew that if I wanted to do that, I definitely had to replace the second hip. And so before I started my fall semester as a freshman, I spent my summer recovering from a 6-week hip replacement and learning yet again how to walk and how to move. But I knew that if I wanted to make it to my 8 a.m. class or be able to live in a bunk bed, that was something that I was gonna have to do.
If there was a depression, it was probably at the first 2 years of dealing with that. And I think I kind of pulled back from my friends because they pulled back from me. They'd ask me once or twice to do something, and then they stopped asking because I was saying no. So I felt like I was kind of, I think what I was feeling was they didn't want to keep asking because I was diseased and they didn't know what to do about it. They'd never heard of, a teenager having arthritis. So they didn't understand what that meant. But I think the biggest support I had was my family at that point, big time.
I would say that arthritis, and especially juvenile arthritis, is more than just an achy joint. This isn't something that is just going to be fixed with popping an Advil every morning. This isn't just because, I played too hard the day before and now my joints are sore. This is my body attacking itself and causing this inflammation in my body that, isn't going to be solved with just a painkiller. That, joint damage occurs, and it even goes beyond the physical pain that we experience.
There's that strong person in you that just says, I should be able to do this. But I've learned over the years that there's a wall, and you just know what that wall is. And you just need to take care of yourself.
The emotional and mental toll that it takes on young people of having to deal with constant pain You know, as kids, everyone just wants to be normal and you want to fit in, but when you have a disease that makes you not be able to sit crisscross on the floor, or why does she get to walk the laps, or why isn't she running? You know, that's really hard for a kid to be able to handle and feel like an outsider, and also try to figure out why their body is acting this way. So I guess I would say that, you know, getting involved with the foundation is such a good platform to bring awareness about this disease, that it's more than just, you know, joints hurting. This is about people's lives being completely affected. It's about taking that stance of, you know, having that support. But I realize that if we don't speak up and talk about arthritis, that they're not gonna know that, oh, maybe there's something else wrong.
I don't think people, when they first meet me, know that I have arthritis unless they look at my hands, because that's the first thing that people can see are what my hands look like. You just kind of make the best out of things. I think it's kind of your attitude, and I'm not afraid to talk about it, educate people, tell them that, yeah, it does start when you're younger. It's not just an old person's disease.
This isn't your grandma's arthritis. This is, you know, something that affects everyone of all ages.
Be your own advocate. You need to maybe not say no. You need to say, yes, we need to go down this path. I need some real answers.
But it helps to talk to others with arthritis. The parent groups actually have parents talking together, kids meeting together, and then they join as a group to talk. So there are a lot of avenues out there for parents of kids with arthritis to talk to others. We would love to have everybody get involved with the Arthritis Foundation. It's a great organization. There are multiple ways to join the organization. Help out, donate, tell your friends. Please show up at our local events and help.
Be the champion of yes.